Yo, what's good everyone? Hope you're doing great. So today video I'm gonna talk about when my friend, well he's not my friend anymore and I don't even wanna call him my friend. This guy is a real dickhead and he will understand why in the story. But when this guy tried to steal my pellet gun, hope you're gonna like the story and if you don't, well, fuck you! So let's get right into it. So the story started, it was just a normal day like any other days. And then I got a text from my friend which I'm gonna call Brandon. So Brandon texted me if I was down to hang out, and most of the time when this guy wants to hang out, it also means smoking weed. Like this guy is the biggest weed addict I've ever known in my life. I've never seen somebody smoking as much weed as him in my life. Anyways, I obviously said yes, I wanna hang out, because I was out of weed and I didn't smoke anything that day, so I was getting really excited. But before going out, I asked him if I was interested to shoot at random stuff with my pellet gun, and as expected, he was down for it. He looked really hyped. And no, it's not a BB gun, it's a pellet gun. It's not the same thing. It was a 1911 pistol. It shoots at about 420 FPS, which is not that bad. So yeah, let's get back on topic. So Brandon was excited to try my pellet gun. So I took the case with the gun inside, got into my car and drove to his house, which is about a 2-minute drive. Then Brandon got into my car with a backpack. Inside of his backpack there's this weed, a bong and some water. The water is for the bong, not to drink. So now we had to think for a place to shoot the gun, and we both knew exactly where to go. Not far away there's a road of dirt in the middle of nowhere that leads to a forest out of the small village that we live at. And in the forest there's a bunch of junk to shoot at. So we drove right there. Once we got at the entrance of the forest, I parked my car, we smoked some weed and then we started walking the forest to the scrapyard. And yes, it was accident prohibited, but we didn't care. So after walking for about 5 minutes, we got to the scrapyard and it was time to shoot the gun. I loaded the gun with pellets and CO2 cartridge and I let Brandon shoot first, and then it was my turn. And we had fun shooting the gun for a good 30 minutes before we got bored. So we got out of the woods and headed back to my car. We smoked a little bit more weed and Brandon wanted to put my gun in his backpack and then put it in the trunk of my car. I didn't see any problem with that, so I said sure, why not? So he did exactly that. Then I drove to a parking lot next to a school in a graveyard. We stayed in the car just chilling and listening to some music until Brandon said he wanted to smoke some weed. I said sure, so I popped the trunk of my car and went on my phone doing whatever while Brandon was smoking his weed. A few minutes later, he knocked on the window of my car, and when I opened the window, he said that his backpack disappeared with my pellet gun. But I knew something was off. This guy already stole lots of shit from me in the past. He stole lots of weed and some vape from me, so I knew he was trying to steal my pellet gun. So I got out of my car and started looking everywhere around me to see if I could find my gun. The first thing that got in my mind was looking at the graveyard. Then I noticed that Brandon started to tweak a little bit. He started to insult me and kept saying that it wasn't the graveyard and I'm stupid to think that's in there. So I started to look around the parking lot and of course I didn't find anything. Then Brandon said that we probably left it in the forest and I didn't want to accuse him of stealing my stuff once again. So I got into my car with Brandon and we went to the forest to look if we left our shit there. And guess what? We found nothing. So I knew it was in the graveyard. So I drove back to the parking, got out of my car and went in the graveyard. Brandon decided to help me to look around the graveyard and said that I should go search to the left and I was going to the right. But I knew what's up, so I took 3 steps to the left and immediately started to follow him. Then Brandon sat behind a grave. I caught up to him and immediately noticed that he was sitting on his backpack. I said to him, "Bro, I know you are sitting on your backpack with my gun inside of it. Then he acted all surprised like, oh shit man, what a coincidence, I didn't see that. Like bro, I know that I'm stupid but I'm not completely retarded. So I said bro, I know you tried to steal my pellet gun. Then he got really aggressive. He kept saying that I was the one trying to steal his backpack, which is stupid. Like imagine two people in an elevator, one fart, then blame it on the other one. Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. Bro thought that I was born yesterday or something. And also he said that there was $400 in his backpack and now it's missing. So I was the one stealing from him. Like I know for a fact that this guy is too broke to have $400. Like his mom buys his weed and alcohol. Don't ask me why his mom is doing that, I'm as confused as you are. But anyways, I took my gun out of his backpack and put it in my car's trunk. And I know I shouldn't have done that, but I gave a ride to Brandon to his house, which I didn't want it to do, but I'm just too generous. Even when he tried to steal from me, I gotta be nice to others. But this time when he got out of my car, I watched him to make sure he doesn't try to steal from me again. Then I got back home and immediately blocked his ass. And that's it for the story. Hope you liked it. Like and subscribe if you want and goodbye.